Just into CNN, a new Biden bombshell in the blockbuster book out next week from our Jake Tapper and Alex Thompson of Axios. This is brand new. Then President Biden did not recognize movie star George Clooney at a June 2024 fundraiser.
President Biden's deterioration of his spine, the degeneration, was so significant that if he fell one more time, that he might have to be in a wheelchair. And
who were incredibly loyal to Joe Biden.
But that's not accurate.
And
that's not what happened.
I'm wondering if people, some of those people are also feeling lied to.
But that's not what happened. What happened?
No,
so,
I'm very clear what happened.
Hold on, Kevin.
Let me explain to you something you do not know for 1 second.
I think I know.
So,
they did not run a process. They picked a loser, and she lost, and she got slaughtered because they didn't run a process.
No accountability, guys. The radical left Democrats can't accept accountability for their actions. The political leaders are still denying Joe Biden's decline or saying, well, we're going to just keep looking forward, or, you know, this is the Republicans' fault somehow, or the media's fault, or the media shouldn't have covered it.
Hand was up.
You said in June of last year, in my meetings with President Biden, I found him to be in command and impressive and wielding influence to make progress on key priorities. But in that same month, Biden apparently did not even recognize George Clooney at a fundraiser. Were you being straight with the American public?
Look, we're just looking forward.
Anything you could think of, no accountability, no, we should have done better. Now, some of the fake news is kind of saying that, but for the most part, not. They're basically saying, well, we were deceived. The White House lied to us, even though they have a press corps that literally travels with the president pretty much everywhere he goes. They're always present and they see him constantly. So they were complicit with it as well. They were lying about this as well. And even today, they're continuing to try to pretend as though they didn't know anything about this. And this is so damning and all this stuff. Meanwhile, they were trying to say that Republicans were publishing cheap fakes, that they were being deceitful, that they were lying to the American people, that they should feel ashamed of themselves.
So no more in his declaration than I've seen in anybody else.
Sharper than anyone I've spoken to.
This is a very sharp president.
Incredibly sharp, incredibly probing.
He is sharp. He is on top of things.
These people are the ones who should have been ashamed of themselves. But without further ado, let's go ahead and react to this stupid behind panel trying to pull off the same nonsense and continue to lie to the American public and then wonder why they have no viewership.
Those revelations include staffers contradicting warnings from his doctor, staffers fearing that he'd be in a wheelchair during a possible second term.
My God.
The inner circle shielding Biden from his own staff. How Biden didn't recognize George Clooney, who is not only a huge movie star, but is a longtime supporter at a fundraiser. How Barack Obama had to rescue Biden several times during that same fundraiser.
You guys remember when Karine Jean-Pierre, oh, that's a cheap fake. It's a cheap fake. It's right-wing extremists and conspiracy theorists just making stuff up. You remember all of that?
The cheap fakes video, and that's exactly what they are. They are cheap fakes video. They are done in bad faith, and some of your news organization have been very clear, have stressed that these the right-wing critics of the president have a credibility problem because of the fact checkers have repeatedly caught them pushing misinformation, disinformation, and so we see this, and this is something coming from your part of the world, calling them cheap fakes and misinformation.
Pepperidge Farm remembers, and I don't appreciate them now trying to pretend like they weren't right on board. Yeah, it is conspiracy theories. I can't believe they thought that they could pull this off. These people should be ashamed of themselves. Do not question my intelligence. That is one of the things that pisses me off the most, is they will sit up here and lie in your face and pretend like, well, we didn't know, guys. We're just as much a victim as you. Hell no. Don't play in my face.
From jumbled speech to lost moments. And all of this has liberals furious, including David Plouffe. That is the Kamala Harris official who railed against Biden's decision not to leave the race earlier. Quote, "We got so screwed by Biden as a party. The compressed 107-day race was an effing nightmare. Biden totally effed us." And the quote from Clooney himself
Let me ask you guys a question. Do you seriously think that Kamala Harris, she gets a year, maybe even 2 years to run, Do you think that she does better? You do realize that she did have that time. She did try to run before, and Tulsi Gabbard ended her freaking career. Made her look stupid. She went down to like 0% and she was out of there. All the money dried up for her. You guys seriously think that Kamala Harris, like, I know this isn't the point of this video, be thinking anything would have changed if she had more time? No, her poll numbers were at their max when they came out and anointed her. And then as soon as time started passing and they forced her out of the damn house, then her poll numbers plummeted. That's what happened. People didn't not know who she was. They liked her when they didn't know her. But then when they found out who she was and how much of a dodo brain she was, then they abandoned her.
The deception by Democrats is, quote, how Trump won.
Facts.
These revelations are why Biden, I think, came out in the last week to try to maybe get ahead of it. But it paints a pretty damning picture of a White House, Bakari, that knew that Joe Biden perhaps was not up to the task, and also a president in Joe Biden who clearly wasn't willing to do what everybody around him seemed to know was the right thing.
I mean, I think you're finding a picture of things that many people didn't know that's more than disturbing. And I think those people have to answer questions. And let's call them by name. I mean,
who didn't know? Who didn't know? When I first started this channel back in 2023, September 2023, I knew. And I'm just watching the TV. You telling me these people who are around him all the time didn't know? It seemed to me like people like me were right. These people were wrong, and it was on purpose. It's not that they didn't know, it's that they lied.
I think the Anita Dunns of the world have to answer questions. The Valerie Biden Owens have to answer questions. The Jill Bidens have to, the Richettis have to answer questions. All of those people who were in the inner circle of Joe Biden have to answer those questions of how informed was he? What did we know? Many of us who were on that circle or the periphery on the outside of that, I mean, when we had the debate, we were told he had a cold. I didn't even know he had a cough until afterwards. But that's neither here nor there. Joe Biden or Kamala Harris.
Guys, okay, let me tell you why this is even worse. What they're doing is even worse. Because you're telling me that something that the everyday person could see. Literal children. In real life, children are seeing Joe Biden and saying like, hey, it seems like he too old. It seems like something don't look right. He walking funny. He falling over. He can't speak right. The little kids can't barely speak, and they can still tell that Joe Biden could barely speak. And then the fake news is like, well, hey, they told us he had a cold. So, I mean, what are we supposed to do? It's like you're basically portraying a picture that regular people, even literal children, can see a clear picture, but you, since you're such fake news and so fraudulent, even you can't see the truth over literal children. So people that's right next to Biden and speaking to him constantly can't see the truth, but everyday people can see him. You see how there's a trust issue here? Okay, so the fake news next time is not going to see the truth again. The next time the Democrats lie about something, of course, politicians lie, you freaking morons, give me a break.
Harris or Shapiro or whomever it may have been, were not going to beat Donald Trump. And it did not have to do with the level of infirmity.
I don't think you can say that definitively, Bakari.
107 days.
I don't, right. Well, okay.
I mean,
so there's a question of whether another candidate would have beat Donald Trump or whether any candidate would have had a chance to do it in 107 days. And I think
that's my point. My exact point is that no one in that time frame.
Right.
And even if, and let's be extremely clear, there's no rule within the Democratic Party process that allows you or us to make a candidate withdraw. He has to do that on his own volition.
Right. I think
Joe Biden has to come to that conclusion.
Why? There were people who saw Joe Biden between 2023 and 2024 who came away from those experiences shaken by what they saw. So not just the people in the inner circle, but people who had like passing interactions with him.
And look what happened to the country, and look at how he's being beaten up. It's almost immoral what we're doing to him now to sell books. I was there at the White House dinner watching this.
Yeah, his best buddies sold him up the river so that they could grift off of his demise. So they tried to protect him at first, and when it didn't work, they wrote a smearing, damning evidence book. This is what happens when you got staunch Democrat friends and liars for friends, is that they're going to start lying some more and screw you over too. This is why you don't associate with people like this. Why I don't F with that party. It's just a bunch of scammers over there.
Reporters who didn't report on him are profiting from his decline.
Which dinner?
It's outrageous what they're doing.
Which Chuck Schumer, according to an excerpt of the book, this is what it says. Schumer wasn't concerned about Biden's acuity, but he was worried about the optics. Another wedding guest who sat at Schumer's table, this was at a wedding, recalled him saying, if things go south at the debate, me, Barack, Nancy, and Hakeem have a plan B. Schumer would later deny it. It's a political problem that we have here.
Did he mean go south at the debate in that Joe Biden totally, had a malfunction the way we saw, or did he mean just go south at the debate like he doesn't perform well? The fact
it could have been both.
The fact that he was only concerned about the optics and not about the fact that the president of the United States might be in cognitive decline, might be mentally impaired, to me speaks volumes about the lack of character of Chuck Schumer. But the idea...
Yeah, it should be... Some of these things should be criminal. I mean, cover-ups are considered criminal activity. And if there's a way to adjudicate that in court, then I really think that these people need to pay for that. You put the entire nation at risk with stuff like this. You can't just cover stuff up because it makes your candidate look bad, especially something like this. I mean, what if this guy would have made a bad decision and got people killed? Oh, yeah, that's right. Afghanistan.
That we did not know about this for the years leading up to the presidential campaign. We all saw it with our own eyes. Video after video, speech after speech, statement after statement. The Her report. The fact that we have people saying today, I didn't know. We had no idea, is outrageous. Yeah. That's number one. Number two, the cover-up is outrageous. And number three, people were arguing with a straight face that this man could serve 4 more years until, of course, it became untenable at the debate. If he had somehow won and were in office, you'd have the same people on TV today saying, he's fine. So, behind closed doors, he's fine. And you know it.
When the average people made that observation, they were told over and over and over by political establishment that something was wrong with their eyes. Look,
you knew it. Cheap fakes.
Yeah, I was
cheap
there.
fakes. The word was cheap fakes.
So here's the deal.
I think we also have the video of Obama guiding Biden off the stage that the Biden campaign, vociferously denied was some kind of sign of his decline, but you see it there, man.
Yeah, I'm in the audience there, right? I
mean, this shouldn't be funny, but it is to me. The reason it's funny is because, he looks like a puppet. He's just sitting there just cheesing. Obama's like, come on. How could you let this happen? How could you let this happen to your friend? You're not a friend. You're an enemy, because a real friend, I don't care if it's a friend, a family member, a significant other, you would never let this happen. Because now this guy has just got humiliated. This guy has deteriorating health. He just need to go back to the beaches that he was sitting on during the majority of his presidency anyway. He was sitting on his rear the whole time. That's where he need to stay, because he was much better off and probably a lot happier there any freaking way.
And everybody's watching it and everybody's kind of seeing it. Look, for the infrastructure of the party, your girl goes through your text messages. It's better when all the information is out. You're in a better situation when everything is on the table. You know how you done messed up. You guys can begin the healing. Just begin the healing and get over it. Obviously, there was some deception, but you have to move past it now. But nobody was fooled once they put eyes on Joe Biden.
It wasn't just deception about a campaign. The man was the sitting president of the United States. There's more at stake here than just politics. There's in-the-moment decision-making. Was the country at risk? Who was making decisions on behalf of the country? Because obviously the president was impaired, and there were people who knew it. There were people, those same people were lying about it publicly. And now the real question is, who was making decisions behind the scenes? You can't just move past it.
Why didn't
it happened, and you can't move past it.
Why didn't any of the people around Joe Biden say, Mr. President, don't do this. I mean, I forget about what they say publicly. What about privately? It doesn't seem that anybody has said that.
Actually,
And regardless of my good friend Scott and what he may say about the greatest scandal in the history of American politics, I don't think anybody...
I said modern.
Modern. I don't think anybody watching this will actually believe that.
What's bigger than the cover-up of the decline of the president?
I can't say it because it's in segment 2, but taking a $400 million plane.
Oh, please.
So, but we'll deal with that. But what I'm also saying is... something.
Whoa. Is this guy trying to say that Donald Trump's accepting this plane is a bigger deal than the cognitive decline, the literal physical and mental health decline of the former president of the United States? These people, guys, I cannot stand. This is why nobody listens to him. This is why nobody trusts him. The level of frustration that's building from even listening to these lunatics is off the charts.
I think we can all agree.
What does the plane have to do with cognitive?
But what I'm saying is I was talking about the scandal. So follow me, Kevin. Yeah. But what I am saying is that there's something that we can agree with, is that I believe it's time for us to turn the page and have a new generation of leadership.
If I were you, I'd want to turn the page too, because the page
Chuck Grassley is 112.
The page that we're reading out of the Tapper Thompson book are pretty bad.
I mean, but it's on both sides.
Let me just read real quick.
Sides.
This is what the Biden spokesperson said in response to some of this. Yes, there were physical changes as he got older, but evidence of aging is not evidence of mental incapacity. And as far as and so far, we are still waiting for anyone to point out where Joe Biden had to make a professional decision or a presidential address where he was unable to do his job because of mental decline.
The Hur report, he had to testify. What Hur wrote in a report. I can't even charge this man because if I put him in front of a jury, they're going to say, oh, this is just a confused old man. We could never get a conviction. We had official government evidence that he was in cognitive decline. And what did the White House do? They smeared Robert Hur. They smeared him.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not disagreeing with
do you not feel lied to? Do you guys, the Democrats who ran your party, who ran the White House, the people who lied to you as a journalist, do you not feel any sense of outrage about Karine or anybody else in the line?
We don't know what's going to be in the book, by the way. So there will be more.
I'll say this, just for me, I'm not a party operative for either side, but
the party rallied behind Joe Biden after that debate, specifically, actually, and perhaps most vociferously, elected Black lawmakers.
That's not what happened, though.
That's not accurate. Who were incredibly loyal to Joe Biden.
But that's not accurate.
And
that's not what happened.
I'm wondering if people. I'm wondering if some of those people are also feeling lied to.
But that's not what happened.
Dude, shut the hell up. That is what happened.
Let me answer the question. Let me explain to you what happened.
You in the wrong with even Trump deranged Abby Phillip ain't on your side, you freaking moron.
Let me walk you through this process, because a lot of people watching.
I think we all know what happened.
No, but you don't,
Kevin,
because you're misinterpreting what happened.
I'm
Kevin,
very clear what happened.
Hold on, Kevin.
Let me explain to you something you do not know for 1 second.
I think I know.
So what happened was there are a lot of people who believe that Kamala Harris did not deserve to be skipped over. There also, in the same breath, are a lot of people who believed and understood that only one person could make this decision. And we did not want a firing squad trying to destroy the Democratic Party from within while you're trying to win an election. And so what we wanted to do was give Joe Biden the space to make a decision that we knew he would inevitably make, while also making sure that the process was one whereby
let me give you an
Kevin,
alternate fact.
I'm going to finish the sentences.
Please do.
He is such a moron. He didn't know. He didn't plan to drop out. He specifically said, I'm staying in the race. He said he was staying in the race. And yes, all these people did rally behind him. He's trying to say, well, that's not what happened. No, you're giving a reason why it happened. But the fact of the matter is, it still happened.
Inevitably make this decision, even though
there was no question that after the debate,
he was saying he would not do it.
After the debate, we knew that there was one thing that could happen. Only one thing that could happen, that he would make a decision. Now, you're asking questions about being president of the United States. I'm thinking in a campaign mode, who's running for president of the United States. And one of the things I will tell you is that there are a large swath of the Democratic Party, and people are going to say whatever, who did not simply want you to skip over Kamala Harris to be the nominee. And so, yes.
You're not finishing this properly. I was here. We
I'm not
had this
finishing my thought
discussion,
properly,
and now we're
which
going
is
to talk about it.
you
They did
surprised
not
she was
run a
there?
process. They picked a loser, and she lost, and she got slaughtered because they didn't run a process.
Hold on.
Anybody could have done it.
First of all, like, let's just make sure that we maintain some respect for Kamala Harris.
Flashback.
I'm not a party operative for either side.
The former vice president.
I think referring to her as a loser.
She was never elected in a process.
I think
Yes, she
referring
was.
to her as a loser
She
is
should have run against
disrespectful.
other contenders.
They literally have had Byron Donalds on here and call him a liar to his face, but Kamala Harris gets her ass kicked in an election. You can't call her a loser. They're still calling Donald Trump Hitler and referring to supporters as Nazis. That's still a thing that happens, and it happened a lot. And on this panel, they didn't say nothing about it. They agreed with it and trying to say, oh, dictatorship, authoritarian, every name in the book. So you can't call Kamala Harris a loser, and then he's going to try to say he's not a Democrat operative earlier. Come on.
And I think that we need to make sure
That's
that we have
that
goes back to the. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
After Biden dropped out, I mean, he did basically disappear. He did show up at the convention, but from the point at which he dropped out of the campaign, he basically disappeared. And then after the election day, between that and the inaugural, he really disappeared. And I just think there are legitimate questions about at that point. If he was not fit to run for office, I argued at the time he was not fit to serve in the office at the time, yet he was not in the public eye. Decisions were being made, monumental policy decisions were being made, and I still want to know who was making them. And was the president
You deserve those answers. And first and foremost, and lastly, there's nothing about Kamala Harris that's a loser. Let's just put it like that.
I think she lost the election.
You got to.
She lost an election.
The biggest.
All right, listen, we are not going to. Hold on.
I'm not being disrespectful. I'm talking fact. She got slaughtered because they disavowed the process. They anointed her, and she got slaughtered.
These people need to take their freaking cape off. Like, these people are white knighting so freaking hard for Kamala Harris. Stop defending losers. She got her ass kicked. It is what it is. I can't believe what I'm hearing right now. You think if this was just some random dude running and he got smoked like this, that they would be trying to white knight and defend her like this, defend a male like this? I've never seen anything like this, and she wasn't even a good candidate. Hillary Clinton got her ass kicked too. It's almost as if because she was so bad, Kamala Harris, they almost feel like more sorry for her. Because even with Clinton, when she got smoked, I didn't hear them say it because she's actually competent. She's just evil and a liar. Kamala Harris is just a loser and retarded.
That's what happened. We don't have to debate
Hold on a
fact.
second.
We do not have to debate fact.
Hold on a second, Kevin. Just one point of clarification. She was elected in the 2020 election along with Joe Biden. She was elected in 2020 on the same ticket.
Okay, so I can't wait until later on when everybody's saying, oh, J.D. Vance was elected in 2024, and then this panel melts down. He wasn't elected, blah, blah, blah. These people are idiots, guys. Like, there's just the way that their brains work. There was complicitness with all of the stuff with Sleepy Joe. They're capping for Kamala Harris. These people are not honest actors, guys. These people are basically political hacks in neutral clothing. They're trying to pretend like they're neutral, but everybody sees through it. And they hate people like me. Absolutely hate, because I see through it. I call it out. I expose them, and so many others. There's a whole coalition. There's a whole bunch of people exposing these losers as frauds, and they don't even need us to do it. We help a little bit, but it's like they do it themselves. And most of this ain't because of people like me. It's because of people actually watching people like them. It's not just we expose them and we expose the truth. A lot of people could see it for themselves. You could look, if you're talking about Joe Biden's decline specifically, just turn the TV on and watch him. The dude fell down so many times. It was all over the TV, even on the fake news platform. But the problems what they did is you would see it, and then the commentator would come on and tell you, oh, you didn't see that. You know, nothing to see here. They like, it's Men in Black. They're taking, like, just hit the little button and, oh, where am I? No. My brain works. I saw what happened. So does everybody else's. People around the world were clowning Sleepy Joe. There was literal skits in other countries that children were making with Joe Biden falling over and looking old and feeble and pathetic. But all the fake news couldn't see that. No, guys, you guys aren't the victims. American people were the victims because we had to deal with it. They wanted Sleepy Joe to get elected again, and they would have been fine with it. Everybody else was suffering and wasn't fine with it. These people are literally the enemy of the people. When Trump says that, he's right. They are the enemy. They will lie and cover up and do whatever it takes to make sure that whatever they want takes place and whatever you want does not take place. They don't give a F about you at all. The same thing they claim, oh, Trump don't care about you. No, they don't care. Trump is telling the truth. Everything Trump says usually ends up being true. And then everything that they say ends up being false. His record is astounding. And yet they still try to pretend, oh, Trump lies so much. No, you lie so much and you got caught and you're mad that you got caught. It's sad if you have a cheating significant other and you forgive them and then they say, I'll never do it again. I'll never do it again. My bad. But then they keep cheating. It's like, well, I was starting to try to forgive you, but now I can't forgive you because you keep doing the same thing. The cheaters are the fake news, the people that are lying and cheating and continuing to do it and continuing to gaslight, not taking accountability, not telling the truth. There's only one option you got. Gotta let you go. These are just my thoughts, guys. Let me know what you guys think. Drop a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. I appreciate you watching the Black Anomaly Rising channel. Be like, look, you keep lying, cheating, all this stuff. Gotta find somebody better. I'm out.
The authors say that, quote, Democrats deceived the country about Biden's abilities. And in the words of George Clooney, that's how Trump won.